What is good? We have episode 3 of the football show presented by Profit X, and week 2 is in the books. Got my man Chev over here. This will normally be me and Big Co on the lives on Monday at 11, and me and Chev on the lives on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. But we got Chev kicking off week 2. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, look, we're in the middle of it. We're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the NFL season. I can be totally convinced that I only know a few things, and we'll get into what I know. But for damn sure, I don't know very much right now.
Yeah, same. So week 2's in the books. We had Green Bay leading off with an impressive W versus the Commanders, 27-18. The Bills slapped the Jets 30-10. Baltimore handles Cleveland 41-17. San Francisco goes to New Orleans with the backups, wins 26-21. 2 road wins in a row to start the season for San Fran. Last time they did that, I think they won the Super Bowl 4 out of 6 times they've done that. Arizona survives late push from Carolina, 27-22. But I think the big story of the week right now is Joe Burrow. Obviously, Cincinnati beat Jacksonville 31-27. Felt like Jacksonville probably should have won that one, but didn't. Jacksonville comes in with Jake Browning. Nobody's excited about that per se. But what it seems like is Joe Burrow is out what is likely 3 months. Bengals are 2-0. What's the plan here? What's the outlook? I mean, we have a possibility. Jameis could be a possibility. Cousins is sitting out there as a possibility. But Jake Browning, also a possibility. Shout out to you, Dub. There, another Washington Husky getting a shot. Right? Is that where Jake Browning's from?
Yeah. Washington kid. I think he was a big time high school recruit from the area.
Yeah.
And then
had plenty of reps. Right? Yeah. He played some 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, the 2023 season when the sky was falling and Burrow, we didn't know if Burrow was ever going to be able to pick up a water bottle again, and with the wrist injury. So time is a flat circle. Here we are again. But Jake Browning was actually really like beyond serviceable when he did fill in for Joe Burrow. I believe those last like 6 or 7 games of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, what we saw from him in this game really wasn't terrible, right? We saw him come in cleanup duty. Do you think that the Bengals are entertaining bringing in a veteran here, or do you think they're saying, hey, we know what we have in Browning, he can operate this offense, he gives us our best shot, we're moving forward with Browning? They're 2-0, which is not a position that it sucks because the Bengals finally get some wins in September, and now you're looking at this situation where you're like, well, damn, all of a sudden Burrow's maybe out 3 months.
So they reversed the September curse, and it cost them Joe Burrow.
they had to sacrifice something.
Yeah, the curse said, I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah.
And what they left with was Joe Burrow's big toe. So I think that, in all seriousness, bro, I think that they're going to roll with Jake Browning. I mean, this defense has been serviceable. I don't really know if you can call it serviceable. You made Trevor Lawrence look like the second coming of Dan Marino at points yesterday. Like, we can't look, they can't do too much rocking of the boat because they're 2-0. And, regardless of whether or not they'll say the superstitious part out loud, you're not going, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And NFL teams have a funny way of not addressing something that's broken because, the results aren't leading you to that conclusion until you figure out that it's actually broken. So I think this is they're going to roll with Jake Browning. They might muddy the waters and be a plucky wild card team. I mean, that's what they were going to be, a dangerous wild card team. I think they might be plucky. Like, I think Jake Browning can win them games, keep them in games, at least be competitive. And if they don't turn the ball over and can force a few turnovers on defense, they might be able to, eke out 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah, they've got who they got next? They got the Vikings next,
which is no longer as daunting of a matchup as it seemed at the beginning of the year.
Although we'll get to that in a second. I mean, the defense is still really good for Minnesota, and if Minnesota could maybe face a not as great defense, maybe they could get a little bit more something going on offense. So, like you said, maybe not quite the matchup you thought that Minnesota would be after 2 weeks here, because really they've played like 7 bad quarters of football offensively and 1 good quarter.
Yeah.
And but then after that, you have the Broncos. So, again, maybe the defense isn't quite as good. We'll get to that in a minute. Then you got the Lions and the Packers and the Steelers. I mean, you got a little bit of a rough sledding here for what you got going on. How do you think can they survive this with Jake Browning?
I mean, I think so. I think like they're just not going to be able to. I don't think they're going to be able to present ceiling outcomes as often as they would with Joe Burrow, obviously. So they can figure out a way to win some of these games. We just saw the Broncos lose a very winnable game yesterday, although that was on the road, and they will be taking on the Broncos at Mile High or Invesco Field, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I think that they could win. If they can split those next 2 games and get out of September with 3 wins, that's and then you start to figure out what you are as a team and how to manage this situation and calling things towards, Jake Browning's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's enough of an infrastructure from a team perspective in place to where if they can manage to be 3-1 going in October and then go 2-2 in the month of October, they're going to be a team that we're looking at pretty seriously come November.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the Bengals can give us, but I think we're going to be looking at a team that has a losing record pretty quickly. And I think Jake Browning is fine. I think for fantasy wise, I think Jake Browning can keep your assets alive, right? I'm not. It doesn't worry me a terrible amount. I'm not like, oh no, we're really screwed here.
Sure.
It was pretty good for pretty much everybody involved. I mean, Chase had 16 targets, T had 8 targets. I saw some stuff where, last time Browning was in, he targeted the running back and the tight end fairly heavily. So we could see a little bit more Chase Brown targets, maybe a little more Gesicki targets. We'll see. But not too much of a worry there. On the flip side, real quick, Jags, I mean, Trevor Lawrence at this point, I think, we can skip the generational stuff. Everybody likes to shit on him, but I think he's a fine quarterback at this point. He's nothing great. He's not awesome, but he's good. He's fine. I know because of the expectations, or do you see it differently? Is Trevor Lawrence just not it at all, and they got to do something else over there in Jacksonville in the Cohen era?
I think that he's the bottom rung of the max quarterback, the max second contract quarterbacks. Like him and Tua are right there at the bottom for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, it's like, yeah, you're a franchise quarterback because we paid you that way, but you haven't, or you're not moving the needle at all. I mean, they were good against a really bad defense yesterday. He was deplorable against the Carolina Panthers in week 1.
They played 2 bad defenses.
Correct.
First 2 weeks.
And he looked like shit against one of those defenses. So it's like, yes, this is great if we're talking real NFL, if you watch this game, it was like, okay, like this is bad. I mean, he can't figure out how to get the ball. They're force feeding targets to Brian Thomas and they can't figure out how to get him the ball. Travis Hunter was the second coming of Justin Jefferson and they're not managing to get him the ball with any sort of, a runway. He had 22 yards receiving and 23 yards after the catch yesterday. So it's like, they're just screening the ball to him. They're not able to hit him on any of the jump balls, the deep ball stuff, where he could really show off some of the special acrobatic ball tracking it feels like this offense is just like they have a really low glass ceiling. And it feels weird to say that, but I feel like there's a lot of points that were left on the board with this offensive cast. I mean, Travis Etienne, still good. Basil Tootin, the haters are going to be in shambles. Me being one of the haters because he looked really good yesterday. And then like he got that screen. He called for a touchdown.
The offense, the production as far as red zone stuff was coming out of the screen game. The screen game was good. ETN scored on a screen.
Right.
Tootin scored on a screen, or at least close to the line of scrimmage pass.
Right.
And both look fine. Both look good running the ball as well. They eliminated Tank Bigsby from the lineup here, so it's going to be the Travis Etienne and Tootin show. I mean, still Travis Etienne, I think has a decent lead on him. There hasn't been a reason for that to really change all that much. But this offense certainly isn't inspiring at the moment, right? Brian Thomas hasn't looked great, dropped one at the end of the game. I thought the Jags probably should have won this game. Bad PI call on Travis Hunter in this one to kind of keep the Bengals' hopes alive there. Uninspiring offensive efforts by Jacksonville first 2 weeks. with Tootin and ETN really being the highlights. So,
yeah.
All right. Really the biggest story, like I said, I just wanted to talk about Joe Burrow. This game wasn't that much fun, wasn't that inspiring. I think the biggest game of the week here was Colts Denver, and the biggest surprising outcome, because we had questions, right? Are the Colts for real? They played Miami. Miami was terrible. Miami is terrible. They beat them up like they should, right? And then they come back and it's like, all right, well, they got Denver. And now they didn't have to travel to Denver. Denver came to them regardless, but like, this Denver D was top notch, supposed to be best in the league. Colts Colts break Broncos at the shoe here, 29-28. Is this Broncos D as good as advertised, or the Colts just G's here? Like, is this for real?
Man, I avoided, discussing this at all with you yesterday, outside of like, hey, Danny Dimes might be the statement that Danny Dimes might be for real. And that's not something I predicted or like even remotely thought like I would be saying come week 3, heading into week 3 in the year of our Lord 2025. Like I just did, like that's not, but he's operating this offense and you could tell he's getting more comfortable with just not being like having good weapons and not being blindsided, or just smashed every single time he's throwing the ball. So he's playing with a little bit more confidence on top of that. Beyond that, he's able to, this team is able to, they threw the ball 34 times, 67% completion percentage, as you can see on the screen. Like they're playing with a rhythm that they haven't had in years. And he's playing under control. And he looks like a competent quarterback. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary. He did underthrow Alec Pierce on what should have been probably a 70-yard touchdown. But that play it's a big play. So he's unlocking the ceiling outcomes, I feel like, for a lot of players. He's got Michael Pittman back in the mix. Yesterday Josh Downs was operating, in the slot with almost, he looked dominant, and this line doesn't reflect it, but we're not talking about for fantasy. We're talking about for real life football. He looked uncoverable. So yeah, I'm really excited about what I've seen from the Colts. It's the polar opposite of what's going on with my favorite team. Just well coached. They're operating. They're winning close games. It's really positive, and they're really healthy too.
Yeah.
So I don't see this falling off. Last year we had the New Orleans Saints get off to a very similar start, and then everybody died, so they fell off a cliff. I think this is sustainable. I don't see them going anywhere.
Yeah, no, this looked really good from the outside, kind of looking in. JT was still a stud, 165 yards on the ground, which is I think paramount to success for any team really, to have a strong run game, but to have a guy like him and to not feed him, that was really impressive. 50 more in the air, which is again another thing that like there's just no reason to not take the easy things from Jonathan Taylor. And just even if it was only 2 receptions, you added 50 more yards. Like just get him the ball in space. You only need to throw it to him 3-4 times a game, but because things like this can continue to happen, like Steichen was on the hot seat. Now he's looking like coach of the year. Danny Franchise Jones is 23 of 34 for 316 yards and a touchdown. Like you said, I thought he spread it around really well yesterday. Downs was the leader. It was the target leader, but Warren continues to grow his legend through 2 weeks here. Tyler Warren looks awesome. You start unlocking AD Mitchell and you start unlocking Alec Pierce downfield on shots. Look, all sorts of quarterbacks are missing deep throws yesterday. So I'm not even upset at Daniel. Those are the things we would have been hypercritical on Daniel Jones in the Giants. I'm like, oh, how'd you miss that? But it's like, now it's like, I don't even care because he's doing these other things. So yeah, man, he looks like can Daniel Jones be comeback player of the year?
In all seriousness, we get through September and he plays this well for 4 games. That's a conversation that's gonna start and get real loud really fast, especially if they're they end up they go 4-0 in the month of September. If they can win that game against the Rams, that we should start having those like conversations without like laughing about it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm very interested. The Colts will have a screen. They've always had a screen for me because I always wanted to see what Anthony Richardson was up to. But Now they've got one because they're an interesting team, right? And like you said, health plays a big part of a lot of things that I feel like is very underrated. The good teams in the league can usually kind of like prop up through some health stuff. But the bad teams in the league, once health starts unraveling, they start going the wayside. So we'll see when some of those things pop up. Hopefully they stay healthy all year. I don't want an injury to happen to anybody. But man, it has been a treat watching these Colts through 2 weeks. Now, are they the Saints of last year? I don't think so. This looks sustainable. The Saints also sustained a ton of injuries last year. So that was kind of just goes back to the talking point of like, hey, good teams can get through that. Bad teams can't. So is that my mic or your mic?
What? I don't hear anything.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as then maybe it was me. But yeah, man, I really liked what I saw from the Colts yesterday. On the flip side, for the Broncos, Nix goes 22 of 30, 206. Troy Franklin has a bit of a coming out party. He led all the team in all categories with 9 targets, 8 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins dominates with touches with 14. Harvey just 5 touches and 2 targets. Broncos were one of the best run blocking O-lines last year. I mean, is there an issue there? Because the run game doesn't look like it necessarily needs to, and it really hasn't. And then kind of where's this running back target floor at? And then the other question is are they trying to do too much with Nix instead of just playing the run, playing D, and kind of checking it down and doing some of the things that it seemed like they were doing last year? I mean, obviously Sutton doesn't have a good game this week. Evan Ingram's a little banged up. Do the Broncos have an issue here, or are they going to be just fine?
I think they'll be just fine. I do think that they need to, addition by subtraction is, I think, something that we say a lot about, potential trades or removing somebody from a room and that room getting better. I think they need to take out some of the theatrics and just get back to like running the football. You see J.K. Dobbins was 5.4 yards a carry yesterday. I mean, like, let's just go back to establishing it, throwing the ball. Like, it's working. Now, granted, it did work yesterday. The Colts I will say this, they were missing Latu. I always get his name wrong. I really need to just stand in the mirror and say that a bunch so I don't fuck it up while I'm on the camera. But the first round pick for defensive end had a pick last week. He was out. Jalen Carley's, I believe, was out. And then another one of the corners were out. So I think that Denver, while they did have a better showing than they had in week 1 against the Titans, I still think that they're still trying to figure out what their MO is going to be in terms of the way that they attack things. So I want them. This was a much more promising outing, but it's like, okay, from a fantasy perspective, from a fantasy perspective, whatever. But from a real life NFL perspective, it's just not lining up to like consistent, sustainable. Like, they looked great. They looked awesome in the first half, right? Second half, they come out and they're not. I think they might have had like 6 first downs and then basically very little production after the break. So something there is, I feel like there's like a misfire. And this is what happens with young quarterbacks, man. This can happen with a young quarterback. Bo Nix, even though he was he started the most games, he's still a second-year quarterback. So teams get filmed, they start taking away the things that you like. You have to adapt. They did a decent job at that, even though, like I said, it got bogged down. But when you have an identity, you can just move on to the next. Like, hey, okay, we have this in case they take away. Like, it just seems that there's no, like, their if-thens, like their hypotheses aren't working in terms of calling plays deeper into the game to counter what the defense is trying to take away at the moment.
Yeah, I was kind of, I agree with Forrest here. Like, so I felt like my takeaway from this game was Peyton. He says Peyton sometimes is the smartest kid on the short bus.
There we go.
That was kind of what I was implying there. Like, it just, I don't know. And maybe I'm completely off here and they'll be fine down the stretch. It just feels like it's too much. Like, he said, give the ball to Harvey some more. I think you should give some more run to Harvey, give some more targets to Harvey. J.K. Dobbins can still do his thing somewhat, but man, oh man, it feels like they're trying to just put the cart before the horse here and not be just what they kind of were last year, seemingly. Again, could be wrong.
No, long. That was my long story, way too long, of saying the exact same thing that you and Forrest both said.
Yeah. Hey, Chef, I don't know if you got a little mic issue or something. But anyway, we'll keep it moving here. We got Falcons at Minnesota Sunday night. Came in here with a battle. Super interested to see how both sides handled it. Falcons win in a defensive struggle, 22-6. A lot of familiarity between these two staffs in this battle. Raheem and KOC being on the Rams, DC and OC in that Super Bowl run. Zach Robinson obviously being Rams ties. I'm sure both of the staff have multiple Rams ties to it. But it seemed like the Falcons' game plan was to neutralize Flores' pressure in the run with the run game, and Bijan was certainly on one last night. 22 carries, 143 yards, all of his skill set on display, looking like just the best back in the league. And then Saquon having a part of saying how good Bijan is, essentially. And like, you just saw like the way he's cutting and moving. They're down one of their best run blocking offensive linemen and still doing their thing. Obviously both quarterbacks didn't come out and light it up. And when you look at the stat sheet, Penix was quote unquote maybe even worse than McCarthy, but that wasn't what you saw out there watching the game. When Penix had to make a throw or two, he made a throw or two. And the release and kind of the calmness. Again, I think this Flores defense is really good. I think they came out with a good plan to kind of neutralize it a little bit. And then on the flip side, JJ McCarthy was just really having trouble. They couldn't get the run game going. They have Cincy next, like we talked about, the Minnesota Vikings. And then they have so maybe that's a chance to jumpstart this offense a little bit. But then they have Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Philly, Chargers. They got to play the Packers twice. They got Seattle and Baltimore on the schedule. Like, how long before this is an issue with Justin Jefferson, number one? Seemed a little salty already. We saw, and here's the thing, like from the JJ side of things, when he made throws, they were great throws. Like, he ripped it in there. It was decisive and strong, but there was, it's a second start. So I'm not trying to make any decisions on what this kid is or will be, but we were glorifying him last week for a good quarter of play. And this week it was just nothing went right for the Vikings. Everything was wrong. They could, it feels very much like Michigan in that championship run with the Vikings right now. Like, when everything's going right, the defense is humming. They got a run game. JJ could probably play, run around, make enough plays to win games. With no run game, how do you view the Vikings right now?
So that's the first problem, is that they need to go back to running the ball a lot more. Like, this is, 19 attempts last night. Like, this is not how you protect a young quarterback, which, regardless of what you, like I said this before any football got played, unless he's the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, this is the formula that they need to be following. They need to run the football, okay, and lean on their defense. And that's what going out and paying Aaron Jones starter running back, or paying Aaron Jones, giving him an extension, and then going out and acquiring Jordan Mason and paying him starter level NFL, like starter money at the running back position. That's what they need to be leaning on. And, Darisal's still out, so I think that probably had an effect. Jalen Walker
had some O-line issues last night.
Yeah, Jalen Walker and James Pierce both had, big days, the first round picks for the Falcons. Mm-hmm. So just wanting to see, and then Ryan Kelly went out at some point, so you lose your center, who's setting the protections and kind of setting the table as taking things off of JJ McCarthy's plate. So I think that this was in the range of outcomes. I don't think that it's as bad as the stat line looks. I mean, just seeing it, you can clearly see that there is a lot of talent there. Like, he has access to all parts of the field, much like I think Michael Penix does. When he grips it and rips it, it looks different.
Right.
And you can see that there's talent here. But again, we live in such a microwave society that now everything's gonna fall on. And part of it is the Vikings' fault, because you won 14 games. You said, all right, man, Sam, we'll see you later, brother. Like, this is always in the range of outcomes. Now, we did say that they were going to regress. There's no way they're going to win 14 games again. So I think it's just about like where your level of expectation is. Like, they were always closer to a 9 to 10 win team than I felt like they were to a 14 win team. So this is just regression to what they actually are as a team, in my opinion. And JJ McCarthy is going to be fine. This is just what you get when you have a guy who's never played NFL football before.
Right. And the Falcons did a good job last night by bringing a lot of different pressures and blitzes, and the guys were getting around the edge fairly consistently. They were preying on School for a while, and then they had another backup come in there, and then obviously, like you said, the center went out. So there are some offensive line issues, but run game not going. JJ not looking super great and comfortable really. And they made a statement multiple times. This is JJ's second game. This is Penix's fifth game. So between those two quarterbacks, I think both sides were trying to protect them a little bit from themselves. And at the end of the day, I came away pretty impressed with the Falcons and how they handled themselves throughout this game. I mean, it wasn't a slobber knocker. It wasn't some sort of crazy, 34-36 game. But I came away impressed with the Falcons. I mean, they had a chance to win last week on a field goal. They could easily be 2-0 right now. So the NFC South is going to be really fun. And man, Bears look bad, Lions look okay. So that could be a saving grace that the NFC North isn't quite as good as we thought it was, but the Packers are going to be good. And I think this Viking schedule is kind of tough. I could see a lot of those teams besides the Packers fighting for right around 500 or a game over towards the end of the season to kind of see who maybe gets a wild card or comes in second in that division.
The problem here too is last night they just absolutely got gashed on the ground. Like they traded. So one thing that I wanted to make sure that I wasn't tripping, they traded Harrison Phillips, who's been one of the best run stuffing defensive tackles in the league, towards the end of, around cut day. So August 20th is what I'm looking at here. They traded him to the Jets, and I feel like that played a huge role last night too, because Bijan just did whatever he wanted. Now most of that's on outside zones and stuff, and we don't have to get into like real football stuff, but look at that. They gave up over 200 yards rushing. So that's not a formula for success either. Now you did get 2 extra possessions, but still 40 runs, 39 essentially, 38 actual tailback runs, and they gave up 200 yards rushing. So they got to figure out something on that front too.
Yeah, they were loving on the one of the defensive tackles who was like an undrafted player, and he did play pretty well. I'm drawing a blank on his name, maybe Reddish or something like that. Last night for Minnesota, but
yes.
Yeah, but I'm very intrigued to see McCarthy kind of in this next game versus Cincinnati with a defense that isn't maybe quite on the level of where Atlanta was, and we saw how bad the Bears looked week 2. So maybe McCarthy, by the end of that game, the Bears defense was showing who it was, and McCarthy was picking apart a bad defense. So maybe we can get a little bit more of that in that Cincinnati game. But I didn't come away from there super stoked about McCarthy. That's a pretty bad second start in general, and really a bad first start, but you had a good quarter, so it kind of saved it. So certainly came away from there's some good stuff to take away from McCarthy, and the fact that in that first game he came away as being quite the competitor and not letting shit bother him. He looked bothered in this one on the sideline, and so that's going to be something him and KOC have to figure out, and they're going to have a lot of explaining to do if they don't make the playoffs this year, right? Because you had it in front of you, and you got gifted something with Sam Darnold and or Daniel Jones, and you maybe could have kept one of them around for a little bit more money. But you went all in with JJ. So, you're going to have to reap what you sow here, and you got to give him some grace with the rookie quarterback and whatnot. But Justin Jefferson is going to get awfully salty, awfully fast here, I think, because none of these pass catchers are able, it was late in the game where, Jefferson finally broke free for one or two, and then late in the half as well. Mm-hmm. So, something's going to have to give here for JJ, as far as moving forward. I think Penix is going to be just fine. Penix is already kind of, showed NFL level talent of play and processing, and we haven't quite seen it from JJ yet. Now, obviously only 2 games in.
Yeah, there's no reason, in my opinion, there's no reason to panic here. I think that, this is just going to kind of be, you're going to have to take your lumps. You're going to go from a 14-win team to possibly 8 or 9. And, as he gets more comfortable, he's going to start to perform. It's not always going to go the way of, hey, this guy is a definitive first ballot Hall of Fame type of talent, and how did he fall to pick 10? It's not always going to go that way.
No.
And it's not going that way right now. But he has the requisite talent. It's just getting the reps in now and making and learning from those mistakes, which I believe he can do.
Yeah, I do too. But I think the Vikings are going to be closer to 500 than 14 wins this year.
Correct. Yes, that's what
Colts House says victory Monday. Well done, sir. Nice to see there. All right, let's go over to Eagles and Chiefs. That was a Super Bowl replay and played out the same way. Obviously, Chiefs lost, but they had a chance, right? This one was 20-17, kind of an ugly game on both sides, really. But at least the Chiefs offense has an excuse. Philly's offense really struggling right now. And they've won both games. Their defenses looked really, really solid. Jalen Hurts throws for under 101 yards, 15 to 22. Saquon doesn't break 100 and they still get the W, right? If you get an offense that can score a few more points, and it looked like even Dallas in the second half kind of had Philly's number, had a few things gone differently in the first half. So I've concerns for both of these teams, although at least with the Chiefs, we know that down the line, guys on this offense will get healthy again. So I think you could see a bigger bounce back from the Chiefs. Now, I'm not at all worried about the Chiefs being 0-2. And I don't think the Eagles are the best team in the league at 2-0. What's your takeaway here?
I find myself much more concerned with the Chiefs than I am with the Eagles or any other playoff caliber 0-2 team, which sounds like an oxymoron, but when you've gone to 5 Super Bowls, I think we can allow a little bit of grace in terms of, but all that to say, the problem with this team is that they're getting beat up in the trenches. They can't move the ball on the ground besides Patrick Mahomes running for his life. The Chiefs, yes. Yeah. And that's a bigger problem, which,
you think that's a line problem or a running back problem, or the first two people that like the Chargers probably are going to be decent in that front. And obviously the Eagles are going to be one of the best in the league in that regard.
I would say that going back to, Pacheco's return from his injury, they just haven't been able to effectively run the ball between he and Kareem Hunt going back to week 12 of 2024. It just hasn't been good from at any point. It's just been kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. And when you get a team that, has a requisite amount of familiarity with the scheme and the way that they operate things, and a brilliant mind like Vic Fangio and some of just the talent that the Eagles have on defense, it's going to look more like this. Now they left a lot of yards on the field. I believe Mahomes missed Tyquan Thornton deep.
2 times.
What would have been a second. 2 times?
2 times he missed him.
Because I didn't get as much of this game as I wanted to, and now this was on my list of games.
Hit him on the third one finally, but there was two opportunities there for Tyquan Thornton to have a fucking ginormous game.
So he's a real thing, and he's an upgrade from Justin Watson being in the field stretcher role
and MVS.
And MVS, like guys that just are out there to professional very well paid agents of cardio. Heart health is wealth. So I think that Tyquan Thornton kind of should be able to unlock a lid lifting faction of the offense that allows for them to play against way more too high shells and maybe potentially run the ball better. But that's the biggest problem with them right now. They just can't. They're not able to generate anything on the ground that's meaningful or forces teams to have to play a certain way. You can just roll out there and be like, yeah, they're going to run the ball. They're going to get 2 yards, and then we're going to have an advantageous situation where Mahomes has to create something. I think that's the biggest problem with the Chiefs right now.
Yeah. No, that would definitely be a takeaway for me as well, not being able to run the ball, but I will give them some grace on the 2 teams that they've faced here. And on top of that, like you're Forrest, I think it was Forrest, down 3rd year in a row with just the position just being depleted from the wide receiver room. And unfortunately that's kind of where they're at. Hollywood needs to be your 2 or your 3, and you're in really good shape on this offense. Like we kind of projected. You haven't seen Jalen Royals, who I think could really be helping them out right now. Unfortunately, we're not seeing him. Travis Kelce doesn't look great. And look, at the end of the day, they had a chance, a ridiculous turnover in the end zone for Kansas City, and this game might end a little differently. Like, I'm concerned with the OC situation and the play calling for Philadelphia, right? I mean, we haven't seen any real offense come out of this thing outside of Jalen Hurts. You know, he kept him in that first game running around, and in this game, he doesn't even throw for 100 yards. And look, Chris Jones is talking shit at the end of the game saying, hey, you didn't even throw for 100 yards. And he's like, shut your ass up. We won the game, which at the end of the day, that's all you need to do. And this defense for Philadelphia is going to keep you in it. I think the Chiefs defense is also very good. And they're missing some key components, and Mahomes is still Mahomesian and one of the best. They hook up with Thornton one or two more times, and they if they could figure out a little bit more of a run game, Mahomes can't be your leading rusher for the game at 66 yards, right? That's not really what you want to be doing. Yeah,
like they can't generate anything that's not an explosive. Like they can't generate anything on the ground that's not manufactured or like out of structure for Mahomes to just run around and take advantage of, the defense playing man or breaking down in zone or something like that.
Yeah. So now I'm just going to go one more time to the Eagles side. It's like, look, they're outside of Goddard. They're pretty healthy, and they're still not doing anything with their guys, right? So that concerns me a little bit, right? That concerns me. Again, defense is going to keep them in it, but I don't think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now, and I don't think we should have as much panic for the Chiefs. So, all right, let's get into the new sponsor here. We got the phrase, the house always wins. Well, not anymore with our new sponsor, ProfitX. ProfitX is #1 sports prediction market. It's a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of the sports book versus the house. You almost always get the best price on any spread, money line, total, or player prop since you're playing against people rather than the book. Looks and feels like a sports book, just with way better odds. Go download the app. If you haven't already, use promo code FFD and claim up to $200 profit cash on all plays in the first 30 days playing on site. So we've had a lot of fun learning ProfitX. There's a lot of different things you could do with it. It's peer-to-peer, like we said. A little bit different version of the book that you're used to, but some solid odds. And the best part is you can kind of make your own odds. And if somebody wants to take it, they can take it. And if you've been tailing what we've been doing, the gambling show is out there. They had good success on that. Me and Chev's reads last week, the Mahomes over 35.5 and the Ertz receiving line both cashed. So, not going to say we're smashing over here because we certainly could mess it up. What do you think about tonight, Chev? Is there a play you like? This Justin Herbert rushing over 18.5 really popped up to me. Quick, first thing I saw. You're muted.
Sorry, technical difficulties, but we're back. Listen, this Justin Herbert rushing yards is talking to me like the Green Goblin mask right now. Like I want to click the button on that real bad, especially like, whatever he's got going on has leveled him up as a quarterback, and now we're using his legs. Yeah. Justin Herbert over 18.5 is one of my favorite plays, and Bucky Irving on the other game. But we don't have Bucky Irving over 2.5 receptions is another one of my favorite plays.
Yeah, Nico Collins over 5.5. Bucky Irving over 2.5. I could see that. I could see that. So some good plays over there at ProfitX. If you haven't tried it out, go check it out. Use promo code FFD, and that'll get you 200% up to 30 days on your plays there back in Profit Cash. So make sure you go check that out. ProfitX. Peer-to-peer sportsbook. All right, let's jump back into it. We had Cowboys Giants 37-40, the thriller of the week probably here. Kind of a slow, boring game for a little bit and then really picked up. Giants really come back. Malik Neighbors doing Malik Neighbors things. Russell throwing the moon balls. And then, Russell comes back to get you there at the end potentially. I thought Dak played fairly well in this one. Javonte Williams, maybe if there's a fire, Javonte Williams.
All right, listen, we gotta adjust our priors. He's showing me he's acting like he's back in Tar Heel blue, and we hadn't seen this since early 2021, man. This is good. Now I want to see him do it against a good defense, against a quality, like Jalen Carter left, and he wasn't great on a per carry basis. So I want to see him sustain this though. As someone who bought the dip on Javonte year over year, I need this to work.
Mm-hmm.
I had just already accepted in my heart that this is just he's just never returned. He's just never going to be the same. But now, I mean, he's ripping off explosive runs, he's breaking tackles. He looks the part. So I have to adjust my priors. And now maybe Javonte sometimes, if if your balls are on fire, I'll allow him to put my balls out fire-wise. If they are on fire in the street, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he looks good. I wouldn't say he necessarily looks super explosive. He doesn't look like really, really fast.
But he's breaking tackles.
He's breaking tackles, right?
It's like poor man's James Conner.
Yeah,
it's not
Najee Harris.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh.
Hey, Najee's been over 1,000 every year, man. It's not sexy, but it gets it done. And Miles Sanders had a TD in this one on one of his 5 carries, and that could have easily been Javonte. He could have had 2 in this one and been over 100 yards without much of an issue. Russell has a good day, 30 of 41, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. And Dak 38 of 52, 361 and 2. Georgie P finally comes through for you here. You got a little Pickens, 9, got 5 catches, got you a touchdown, helped you save the day at the end. CeeDee Lamb's going to continue to do CeeDee Lamb things. Once he starts getting the end zone, it's really going to fire up. 7 targets for Javonte Williams is absolutely awesome. Jake Ferguson with 12 targets, kind of a free cheat code. Old Jake Ferguson there. The Giants side of things, Tyrone Tracy really led things off in the first game, and in this game it was definitely a little bit more scatterbo. Still 5 targets for Tracy though. He ran a lot of routes in the last game. I think he was at like 70% or something like that. So that trend kind of continued. But Scatterbo got 11 carries, still only 45 yards, 4.1, and Tracy only got 5 carries in this one. So running was not at the top of the Giants list here. And I think this is just going to be in limbo here for weeks, maybe until there's an injury of like, I don't really want to start either one of these guys if I can help it, as far as Cam Scatterbo or Tracy.
Yeah, this is a full avoid backfield. It went from, hey, Tyrone Tracy's the starter to, hey, we're talking Cam Scatterbo. He looked decent yesterday. And I mean, the touchdown run was just basically the Red Sea parting. But he's gonna have some good days if they can stay in games. If they can put together, which I think this was just Dayball having a masterful understanding of how Matt Eberflus just plays soft cover 3 most of the time. And they were able to take advantage of that. I mean, Russ, obviously they were able to take advantage of it. Russ was just throwing moon balls against single coverage, and Malik Neighbors was able to outrun it and like fall under it, because that's the one thing that Russ can still do. This is Russ's best performance since I believe 2019 is what they were saying on the broadcast. So he turned back the clock. He bought himself at least 1 to 2 more weeks as the starter before our guy Jackson Dart takes over. So this was encouraging to see from this offense, but also I don't think the Cowboys defense, I have very little faith in the Cowboys defense because of Matt Eberflus and the Bears defense because of Dennis Allen. I think they're both dog shit coordinators. So I thought that Flus job in Indianapolis was good. Few years. Yeah. You don't think so? It's the same. It's literally the same things. They're just playing like he just had some decent players. I mean, like I don't know. I've listened to a bunch of different players talk about Eberflus in his time with the Colts, and it's like, maybe not. Maybe not as much as I thought that it was going to be good.
Yeah. Is Dallas good? Or are they good enough?
We got to reserve judgment. They got to beat a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to beat a good team for me to say that they're good, because they do this respectfully. They do this against teams that are really bad. Like we were talking about the Giants having the number 1 overall pick. Bad. And this game went to overtime. I want to see them beat a good team. They beat a good team, I'll change my tune. But this is what you're supposed to do. And they turned the difficulty knob up to like 14 to get this one done.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a division rival, and maybe the Giants, obviously there wasn't a whole lot of defense in this one, but the Giants should have an okay defense, but there was the offense in this one. It was really Malik Neighbors and Wandale doing a lot. It was nice to see that Theo Johnson can actually catch a football in this one, because week 1, that was rough for him. But Yeah, I'm super interested to see where the Cowboys are kind of week 3. I mean, we're into week 2 and I still don't know anything. I feel like half of this is a lie. So,
Right.
we'll kind of see moving forward. All right. We got Pittsburgh, Seattle, we got Chicago, Detroit. We're going to talk a little Rams and Tennessee to end it, and then we're going power rankings at the end. We'll probably move a little quickly through some of that back end. Mostly want to talk about Cam Ward on that Tennessee game. But Seattle, Pittsburgh, 31-17. I think this is, look, I've been saying it all season long. I think the Seattle defense is for real. I think they're going to continue to get better and figure things out. I thought it was a pretty solid game, and then Pittsburgh made some mistakes. My guy, Caleb Johnson, might not ever see the field at this point with just terrible play. I don't even know what you were doing there. I think he just thought that either that was going out of bounds or like, hey, if we just don't touch it, we're good, But you touch, the whole thing was odd as hell. And then last week on special teams, he fumbled as well. They recovered. So disastrous start for one of my favorites in Caleb Johnson. The run game was a little better for Pittsburgh in this one, sort of. I thought Warren looked half decent, but it seems like they want to use the pass game with the running backs right now more so than anything. So Gainwell and Warren are both better profiled that way, I think. But again, Pittsburgh to be able to establish the run a little bit more was something that I want to see. And again, just an absolute disastrous start for my guy, Caleb Johnson. And maybe he's just fucking god awful. And that's just an all-time miss for me. But right now,
listen,
it's not great. But again, he's not going to be a guy that if you give him 5-6 attempts a game and throw it, like that's not his game. He needs to be the guy who's getting 12, 18 touches a game because he's going to get better as the game goes on. So interested to see, to me, from just these first two games, and it does seem like they want to utilize the running backs in a more pass catching role, at least as far as these first two games have gone. I don't know. What was your observation on the Pittsburgh offense in this one?
So addressing the kickoff thing, I just don't think that he understood the rule. I think that's what comes with being a rookie. So we're looking at now his career getting off to more of a Rashard Mendenhall type start than a Le'Veon Bell type start. And I mean, he's a very talented player. I think he's got some growth to do in terms of learning the details of the position. So I think he's going to be fine. I just don't think that he's going to play a lot this year because this is such a vet-laden team. But all in all, they made so many uncharacteristic Steelers mistakes yesterday.
Yeah.
That it leads me to believe that this is going to be much more of an up and down affair because you can't lean on an elite defense. You can't lean on
an elite run game.
Just going to be able to, that's going to be able to score week in and week out. So you find yourself, I mean, obviously, nothing's as good as it seems, nothing's as bad as it seems, but somewhere in between reality lies. And they've got to figure out where that reality is right now, because with no run game and a defense that's basically a sieve, it's not a promising outlook for the Steelers right now.
Yeah, I liked what I saw week one, and then like you said, a lot of dumb stuff went on. Caleb, bad penalties. The run game is the most concerning to me. That they just really, it's not there currently. And again, I think the Seahawks are going to be a defense that nobody wants to deal with. DK had saved your day with a touchdown. They had some targets there, but offense was not clicking, was not rolling. But I thought the Hawks had a good game plan. We got a little Torrey Horton TD on the other side. Got to see our guy a little bit. JSN continues to just be a target fucking monster. He's going to be, they're going to force feed him into having a great year. And the big thing on the Seahawks side, and I don't know if it's health and how long it'll stay that way, but if Kenny Walker is healthy and looking like he looked yesterday, there was a drive near the end of that game where they had Sharps in, and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? And then Kenny comes in and scores on third down. And this is what Kenny Walker can be and should be if he's healthy. And why you put Sharps on the back burner. If Sharps is going to be your guy and you're going to run him the whole game, he's going to be a good player. Like, I don't think Sharps is a bad player, but Kenny just gives this offense so much more juice And that's what we saw. And if that continues and they continue to grow and Kenny Walker can stay on the field, man, oh man, this is going to be a tough team to deal with.
To borrow an analogy from a different sport, like Zach Charbonnet is a fine player. He's Tony Gwynn, right? Like he's going to get you on base. He's going to be consistent. He's going to get you 4. He's going to get you 5. You know, he's going to get you 3. He's not going to give you negative runs, and he's going to do the things that he's supposed to do. But Kenneth Walker is the Bash Bros. He's Mark McGwire. He's the steroid era Sammy Sosa. He's the home run hitter. He's the guy that can be a one-play drive ender. And you saw that yesterday when when they were just trying to run the clock out, and then he messes around and scores.
Mm-hmm.
And he was you could see, I think we talked about last week where Kenneth Walker didn't practice hardly at all during training camp. I mean, we can count the days on like one hand where it said, hey, Kenneth Walker's a full participant in practice. Right. Zach Charbonnet was there. He wasn't missing. He did what a backup is supposed to do. You're not supposed to experience, a disruption in the offense if your backup comes into the game. But Kenneth Walker raises the ceiling of the run game. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So we're talking about, hey, they're both going to be healthy and we're going to split touches evenly. Kenneth Walker is going to destroy Zach Charbonnet from a production standpoint. It's not going to be fair. And that's not a knock on Zach Charbonnet. It's just more of what Kenneth Walker is. Like that's what it is. He offers this offense something different. So I think they're starting to get it rolling. I mean, this is Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak has represented himself fairly well through these 2 games. Robert Saleh is a tough ask in week 1. In your first day on the job, and then they come out
and they know so much about each other schematically as far as how they want to run their offenses. Seattle and San Fran in that first matchup, and this came, the wheels kind of fell off by some mistakes from Pittsburgh, which maybe the outcome could have been different, but I thought Seattle was certainly better in this one. And again, I think if Sharbs and especially Kenny, like Sharbs can be your hammer. Somebody said it's kind of be blocked up for Sharbs. I mean, for the most part, Sharbs can do that. And if Kenny can bring that juice to this offense, like I think Kubiak is counting on, again, between him, Kupp, JSN, Horton, Arroyo, AJ Barner, like they've got some parts and pieces, and they'll kind of start formulating this thing together and be a really tough deal. So I like the Seahawks coming into this season, and I really like the Seahawks. And this doesn't really downplay the Steelers too much for me. I want to see another couple of weeks of how this goes, but they have got to figure out a run game.
Correct. That's the biggest thing, is like that's been Arthur Smith's calling card, and it seems like they just don't have what it takes in the trenches, or they're not synced up enough to be able to create the lanes that traditionally his run game affords to an offense.
Yeah, and they just, like I said, it almost seems like they want to get it done through like short like they want to do the run game via short check down passes a little bit. Like it doesn't seem like
it doesn't work.
Kind of what we've been accustomed to, like you're saying. So let's shoot it again. I think the Hawks are going to be a tough out to run against for most of the season. So take that kind of for what it is. Let's jump over to that just drubbing in the NFC North of Chicago and Detroit. Detroit getting the Ben Johnson chance going at the end. But they really came in and took it to him. A bounce back from the Lions. I don't know which Lions are the real Lions. Slim Shady would ask the real one to stand up, and I don't think we know who that is. Jared Goff was excellent in this one. The Lions had some semblance of a run game going in this one, but I think we just, we saw the Bears defense be decent through that McCarthy game. But I think McCarthy is just average right now, and it's not where he's going to be just because that was his first game ever. And he caught fire in a quarter, and the Lions just continued to just catch fire and fire until they were like NBA Jam. He heated up and he's on fire, and then they just stayed on fire. They couldn't put it out. Right. And the biggest thing coming is like Caleb drives him. Caleb has a terrible turnover in the second quarter where I'm pretty sure he was just trying to burn it. I don't know, but they made it. They picked it off and they came back and got points off of it. But then Caleb took him down and got points, and then they couldn't stop them from getting points at the Lions getting points at the end of the half. And from there, it just snowballed downhill where Detroit or where the Lions couldn't stop anything Detroit was doing. So, that was nice to see. It was nice to see a big game from Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was nice to see Jameson Williams get a big touchdown. Laporta was Gibbs and Montgomery were a nice little 1-2 punch. I think the Bears are just struggling right now in all phases. But one thing we can take away positive from the Bears side is Rome Odunze, just looking really, really strong out there, which again, this makes me happy. And sometimes you got to wait a minute to have your fruits of your labor show through. And Rome Odunze looks like a guy out there. And him and Caleb have something going. And I thought this was a good and bad game from Caleb. I didn't think Caleb was great every down, but I didn't think Caleb was bad in this game. And then, Forrest, I think, mentioned it, but you got Colston Loveland, you got a top 10 pick on, he's got 1 target. And then DeAndre Swift gets a touchdown in there. Once again, the Bears struggled to run it a little bit, but then this game got away from them. So I don't think they could kind of stick with it maybe as much as they'd want to. I think the Bears got to figure a lot of things out. And, I think we came in here with the false pretense of that the Bears are going to come in here and be a playoff team immediately. We kind of put that on them last year, and then we put it on again because Ben was coming in, and it was like, Ben's got some things to figure out as a head coach. This defense is, you just mentioned Dennis Allen. You don't like him. So it's just, I think it's okay for the Bears to struggle as long as they look good in parts and pieces to me. And that's kind of the way I look at this. And I don't know who the Lions are right now.
I mean, so two things. I'll start with the Bears first. I think we have to, if we're going to look at where Ben Johnson started versus where he ended up, it's important to actually start with the start and not where the Lions ended up as an offense. They started out 1-7 his first year as an offensive coordinator, and they were struggling. Like, people were saying Dan Campbell should be fired. There was memes everywhere. Like, it was a joke. Yeah. The biting kneecaps, and I don't care if you got 1 ass cheek and 3 toes. Like, it was a rough time, and that's what Chicago's going through right now. But the difference in Detroit and where the Bears could potentially be, and what good organizations do. It's weird to say to refer to the Lions as a competent organization, but they've got the GM, they've got the play caller, they've got the head coach, they've got the infrastructure now, but that takes time. So overreacting on the Bears right now and saying, oh, well, Ben Johnson's a failure and all, it's really dumb, man.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. It doesn't make sense to make some sort of snap judgment based on what they've looked like through 2 weeks. It doesn't make sense to make. Now, are there causes for concern in Caleb's film at certain points? Yes. You want to see him doing the layup, like doing the easy stuff, the layups, the easy completions that keep an offense, those hidden yards that keep an offense on schedule, because nobody's going to talk about completing a hitch on first down for, to get you to 2nd and 6. But those are the hidden yards that kind of keep you in an advantageous situation where a defense can't really attack you. So if you can tee off on Caleb Williams, then he's not going to look like a really, really good quarterback. But you protect him with down and distance, with situations. You protect him by keeping him out of situations where there's too much variability in how the play can go. And the defense knows and can eliminate a section of the playbook. Being eliminated is never a good thing for a young quarterback facing, a defensive coordinator worth his sand. So I think it's really dumb to judge the Bears by what they've looked like these past 2 weeks. I think it has a chance to get better. Yes, the Bears' lack of run game is absolutely evident. But again, they faced the Vikings, which we thought was a really tough run defense, and they faced the Lions, who were literally one of the toughest matchup against the run outside of Kenneth Walker, before Aleem McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike and some of their other stalwart defensive tackles. Hutch, all those guys were injured last year. So they're going to be one of the toughest teams in the league against the run. There's just not much to formulate here besides the Lions are going to be fine. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to battle Green Bay for the division, and the Bears are a rebuilder. And that, I don't know how we went from them being a 4-win team to all of a sudden supposed to compete for the division because they hired Ben Johnson. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah, no, I think a lot of good points in there. And, I think we just need to be patient, and nobody wants to be patient on Caleb right now. And I saw Amon-Ra St. Brown pod. I must have been before the season started and he was talking to Rome just about like how much people really, really hate Caleb on everything he does. And it's so wild like that it's just because people don't like him, I guess, in general. We kind of talked about this on the Wednesday show. But it's okay. He's allowed to have some growing pains. Last year is kind of irrelevant he's basically got 2 starts, kind of like JJ McCarthy at this point, because last year it was just an absolute mess. So I'm interested to see kind of the growth week over week. If by the end of the season the Bears offense hasn't, had some good steps forward, then we can start to have cause for some concerns. But 2 weeks in, I mean, there's guys sailing balls all over the place. There's quarterbacks not playing at their best. Defense is not looking great. Their offensive line hasn't been awesome that they respent and rebuilt here. They haven't kind of gelled necessarily at this point. And the lack of the run game is a huge part of this, right? Because that's what everything was built on off the Ben Johnson on the op in the last stop and how good they were with it. So it takes time. They brought in Montgomery from the Bears, remember, and then they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and everybody told them that they shouldn't draft Jahmyr Gibbs. And it turned into, just this awesome dynamic duo of really taking this offense to the next level. So some patience. And again, just remember, Jared Goff had been to a Super Bowl previous to Ben Johnson getting there. So he had played a lot of football. He's, the thing that the difference in Jared Goff and Caleb Williams is one guy was an in structure on time kind of guy. And the other guy is kind of, hey, I'm really good at flying by the seat of my pants. So the other guy's a statue if he doesn't have an offensive line. So you can get around some offensive line stuff with Caleb. You just you gotta drill in the, hey, read the defense, take what they're giving you. And it's not always there. Sometimes it is. And other times you're like, God, what are you doing? Like, just hit the layup right here. So we'll see. I think we just need to give it some time to breathe. All right.
Please, everybody
go ahead.
Just relax.
All right. Let's talk about one more here before we go power rankings. And I mostly just because you're on this show again this week, and I don't know how many times again we'll get you. And then we'll have the Wednesday live show at 9 p.m. That's going to be the other football show we do each week. But Rams, Tennessee, I think a lot of good things that you see from Tennessee. It's, again, you're going to have some patience. They're not going to, I don't think you're going to equate to a ton of wins, but you've also played 2 tough teams to start with. And I think Cam Ward has handled both teams extremely well, whether it shows up in the stat lines every single time, but there's things to be excited about with Tennessee here. Calvin Ridley certainly has even more meat on the bone. A.O. Manor looks good. Gunnar Helm looks like he could be something, and Cam Ward just is doing Cam Ward things already.
Listen, there's only the thing that I could be excited about is that Cam Ward, we talked about it before the season starts, is, this is a guy that has the ability to make those magical plays that creates something out of nothing. Like, that's just, we've seen it now week over week. And I know, there were some douchebags in the industry that were like, oh, Cam Ward, I don't know why you guys are talking about it. It's like, well, yes, cool. If you look at the box score, yes, it sucked. But you're watching a guy operate in adverse conditions, and you'd have to watch more Titans football than I would want anyone else to watch to really get a grasp of that. But he's delivering on the promise of what I believed he was. And he's doing this in an environment that's far less than ideal. I mean, he's been sacked 11 times. What I'm seeing from him just further convinces me that he is worthy. I'm glad that we didn't say, hey, let's just draft Abdul Carter and get a quarterback out of the 26 class, because having a guy like this it's only a matter of time before we get things in order. So that's the fan in me talking. From an actual football perspective, they were failed again from a coaching perspective. And I'm firmly out on Brian Callahan now. So this team is absolutely going to be tanked by his decision making and unwillingness to allow Cam Ward to just operate more freely.
Who's the Titans got next?
We have the Colts next.
So another potential buzzsaw.
Yeah, Michael Pittman legacy game incoming. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Rams looked pretty good in this one. Puka is just so damn good, man. Devontae Adams had another good game. Puka is might be my favorite receiver to watch play. I like how he goes about his business, man. But Ayo, man, go ahead.
Like, are they not using him? I mean, he had a 45-yard touchdown run yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like, are they not just like combining the Cup stuff that Cup used to do with some stuff that Debo used to do, and just literally rolling him out there and being like, hey, just go make some plays for us.
Yeah, for real. Like,
he's make some plays.
I mean, he is so damn good, and he's just like a crash test dummy out there too, which is the only thing that's you're like, all right, man, can we just tone it down a little bit? But then he doesn't know any other way, which, you know, I love, and that's probably why I like watching him so much, because it's just, man, reckless abandon at all points. And if he can go, he's gonna go, and he's gonna give you everything he can. And I mean, he's right up there with any of the other best wide receivers in the league, in my opinion.
Yes, without question.
I know that's not breaking news, but like, man, if Stafford being old is the only thing that makes you be like, all right, well, but I have faith that the Rams will figure out the quarterback position. You know, they just will.
Yeah. I mean, and if worst case scenario, they take a reclamation project on, and McVay, you know, guides and grooms that dude into being like a top 12 quarterback for whatever, or like a random Pro Bowl season, right? Like, that's just what these guys do that are actual great, you know, leaders and play callers. They figure out how to get the best out of that position. So giving him a guy like Matthew Stafford on the back half just makes him like, hey, we just need a couple things to break our way, and we're going to be in the NFC Championship again.
Yeah. L.A.K.O. Manor for real?
Yes.
Yes. We kind of alluded to that those last couple of weeks of preseason when we got to see him. And this is just even reassuring all that. Also, Tony Pollard is a G.
Yeah.
That guy is awesome. I would like to see Tajee Spears back in this offense. And it's just a matter of time before you have a Ridley just breakout game of him slaughtering things when you're not playing good defensive lines that are you know, top in the league.
Yeah. I also wanted to highlight Chimere DK is going to be.
What a return, man.
Yeah. I mean,
he got robbed. He got robbed in this one. That's a terrible
return guy. But also, I think he's going to play a role in this offense sooner than later. It's just a matter of, I mean, like, this is 2 weeks in a row where I feel like his special teams play is going to earn him more snaps as a receiver. You saw he got 2 carries yesterday.
Stash him away.
Yes. You should. This is in a deep league, in a dynasty league, whatever. Just go get Chim DK right now.
Yeah. No, he looks special with the ball in his hands. I like it. Yeah. I like it, man.
And I mean, this is me as someone who was not a fan of him at the University of Florida saying, hey, I might have fucked this up. Well, Billy Napier fucked it up, but like being convinced that, like, I don't think he's going to be a real NFL player, to being a special returner. And I think a guy who could contribute in a very meaningful way if we just get touches, get the ball in his hands.
Yeah. And real quick, we're gonna go on to power rankings here. I didn't get New England and Miami in the opening read, and we didn't talk about them at all. What's that?
Sad Boy Bowl.
Yeah.
Just the feels bad bowl.
The feels bad bowl
game is just gonna feels bad.
Trevi, like, all of our rookie running backs right now are all underperforming and not getting the run that anybody, I think, thinks they deserve. That being said, Ramondre was very good yesterday. Travion gets even less work this week, and then 5 targets for Ramondre. Booty gets 1 target and scores on it, so he keeps it kind of alive. Diggs was fine, but you know, the passing game wasn't super fun for the Patriots. Some special teams plays back to back in that one kind of made it exciting. You know, this is 2 not great football teams.
Yeah. Like, this is just, hey, all right, so we can't make plans for accomplishing anything in 2025 if we lose this game, and they just lost this game. So
yeah,
not great.
Where is Tyreek Hill going to be at the trade deadline?
Kansas City.
You think he goes back to Kansas City?
I mean, I can't see, like, if we look at contenders, like, Green Bay's not going to trade for him. You know, San Fran's likely not going to trade for him, because I mean, Ayuk's coming back around week 6, week 7. You know, it would. So here's the thing: unless Miami's going to eat a bunch of that extension that they just gave him, it's going to be tough for them a contender to make a move for the requisite capital to get him into the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Dolphins definitely need to trade him away for something, because it does. I mean, maybe things turn around, but it seems like by week 4 they could be in an interim head coach situation.
Right, and then this is him coming off of one of his best games.
Right.
Right. He could clearly still play, but they don't want him there, and it doesn't seem like he wants to be there.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is this looks like a recipe for disaster, all queued up. So yeah, I don't know. What could be another possibility of where he could end
I'm
up?
looking at this right now, staring at it, just looking for somebody who would be willing to make that move. That he would be willing to go to.
Yeah, who do you think it would be? I don't.
That's
even
what
know
I'm saying. Like, you can look at this, like we're both looking at it, and it's like, I mean, the Texans just invested a bunch of capital. He's not going to go to the Raiders, because I don't think that they're very good. The Steelers aren't going to do it. They just traded and paid DK Metcalf. He ain't going to the Saints because they're not very good. I mean, the Rams aren't going to come calling. They just paid Devontae Adams. He's not going to the Panthers. The Cardinals?
Yeah, I think they're pretty content on what they got.
See what I'm saying? But like, it's like, okay, we've got McBride, we've got Marv, we've got James Conner. Could we use a wide receiver too? Would Tyreek Hill be willing to accept his role as a wide receiver?
Tampa brings him in because Godwin can't get on the field. I don't know.
That's about the most likely scenario, right? If there's a team that we're looking at.
Falcons.
They paid Mooney. They got London. They got Pitts.
Yeah. Bills to get over the hump.
Division.
Bills to get over the hump.
They'd have to give up like a first-round pick.
It's because it's in division.
Yeah. Like, I mean, just it could happen, but they'd have to mortgage a damning part of their future to get Tyreek Hill in division.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like back to KC, like Mags was saying, and somebody else would be the option, but I think they're going to get healthy too, and then they're going to be like, "Nah, we're good. We got Worthy. We got Royals. We got they'll get all healthy at once, and then the Chiefs' offense will be humming." And so, I don't know, man. Super interesting.
It's a really interesting thought exercise, because you almost have to work, like, you've got to work backwards from, hey, what team could we see actually accepting this?
Yeah. All right, let's do power rankings and get out of here. All right. I'm going to throw these up here. These aren't necessarily a finished product here. We're 2 games in, but here we go. Starting at 12, I'm going to go, and I may move some of these as we talk about them. I'm going Commanders at 12. Had a big loss to Green Bay. I think the Commanders are taking a little bit of a step back, but I still think with Jaden Daniels and who they are, good team. At 11, I'm going Bucks. Neutral right now. We haven't seen him, so I'm leaving him in there. Rams got a game here at LA. And I'm going to put them in the top 10 right now. Who's your bottom 3 here as far as 12, 11, 10, Chev? You got those, or?
Yeah. So 12 would be San Francisco.
Okay.
And then 11, I've got the Commanders. 10, I'm going to go with the Broncos. This is gross.
Yeah, I took the Broncos out of mine. They're sitting right below here. I got Seattle at 9. I got the Colts at 8. I got the Niners at 7. I got the Chiefs at 6. The Eagles at 5. The Packers at 4. Baltimore at 3. Buffalo at 2. And the Chargers at 1. So what do you have to finish this list off, and then we'll get we'll have some discussion.
So okay, so I said I had Denver 10th, correct? Yeah, Detroit 9, Atlanta 8, Tampa 7, the Rams 6, Buffalo 5, the Chargers 4, the Ravens 3, the Green Bay Packers 2. And the Eagles 1.
You're going keeping the Eagles at 1.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to. Honestly, you know what? We can go No, dude, I just said the Chiefs were not.
No, I got him in the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm leaving the Chargers at the top because this is Monday and we haven't seen them yet. From what I saw, they were still the most impressive team to me. This could be different.
I'm making an executive decision live on air right here, right now. The Green Bay Packers are number 1 in my power rankings now.
Yeah, they certainly could be. Yes, I left the Chiefs in my top 10 because I think they played the Eagles really tight. That game could have went either way. They're down all of their star wide receivers right now. I think they'll come back, and I think they're still going to be a team that's in there. So projecting a little bit on the Chiefs and giving them some grace because they have been so good. And so that I leave them in the top 10 because I just every team below them right now, they're probably going to beat them with how they're currently structured. Like that's just kind of the way that I looked at it. And again, we're 2 games in, and Colts maybe at 8 is too high. Maybe San Fran at 7 is too high, but San Fran playing with some backups and getting wins, went on the road twice. Obviously I'm a Niners fan, but I think where that defense is playing, they're getting a lot of youth out there. Getting a lot of good snaps. The defensive line looks a lot better. Micah Williams looks great. Upton Stout just missed a couple of big plays in this one. So they've got some interesting parts and pieces. I think Seattle's going to be good, but yeah, I left the Chiefs in there and I moved the Eagles down because I'm concerned with that offense. I'm concerned with the offense.
That's fair too.
When they get up against these better teams that can score points, can they keep up? And now the defense will be good enough to suppress some points. I don't think they're going to get, 35 dropped on them very often. But when Chargers, Bills, Ravens, Packers kind of all come around and maybe the Chiefs can that offense get going? Can we see something from that offense? Forrest said Washington is better than the Colts, Bucks, and Rams. I don't know. There's a lot of TBD for the Commanders right now. Where's that run game at? Where's Jaden Daniels at year 2? How good is the defense? I'm not really sure. Bucks were idle, so I left them in there, or at least we haven't seen them yet on Monday, so they're still in there. I'd say Falcons kind of were very intriguing to me on this one. Broncos still pretty good. So any final thoughts here, Chev, before we keep it moving?
No, I think that we've got to adjust our priors. We've got to adjust our priors a bit on teams like the Colts because of the fact that like they're clearly, we've said that they're a quarterback away for years now. And it appears that they might've found that guy. At least he could do what Sam Darnold did for the Vikings last year, not to get too far out over the skis because they don't have a dominant defense. They do have Lou Anarumo, who's a really brilliant defensive mind, but I think that they have a run game. They've got a decent enough defense. I don't think that this is a mirage. I think that this is the real thing.
There's Chev's power rankings.
Yeah.
Right. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
And I told you I made the executive decision to move Green Bay to number 1, numero uno.
Yeah. So just to run down Chev's real quick, he's got Green Bay, Philly, Baltimore, Chargers top 4, Buffalo at 5, LA at 6, Tampa at 7, Falcons at 8. A lot of respect on the Falcons, huh? You got Detroit at 9, Denver at 10, Commanders at 11, and San Fran at 12.
Hey,
a lot of respect for the Falcons in Detroit there.
I really believe in Captain Durag. That wasn't just performative nonsense for the Dynasty channel. Like I really do believe he's a really good quarterback. And if they figured out now, again, backup center, third string tackle, the Falcons have been trying to figure out their pass rush since the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It looked good yesterday, but again, like you said, backups along that line.
I think, and I mean, we're literally a field goal. We're a missed field goal away, from them potentially being 2-0. Now I know it was to tie, but like I said, they've been really competitive against 2 playoff teams, right? So this is what my eyes tell me when I watch them play football. I think that they're the 8th best team in the league right now.
Yeah, no, I like the rankings. I like the rankings. We'll see. I'm so excited to see what the Chargers do in this Harbaugh Carroll Bowl here tonight. I'm sucks that it's at 10:00 for the East Coast people.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to make it through that one. I've always been Team Harbs. I hate Pete Carroll, but that also comes back to my Niners allegiance. And then Houston, Tampa's certainly interesting. Houston's got a lot of questions to answer. A lot of questions to answer.
If you recall, during CJ Stroud's rookie year, this was kind of the signature performance against his Todd Bowles defense. He threw for 470 and I believe 5 touchdowns. So the Houston defense has improved a great deal since then. Also, Baker Mayfield, probably his second or third best performance as a Buccaneer to date was against this Texans team. So this low key, if I don't want to throw this out there lightly, because I do feel like the expectation will be that this is a high scoring game, and the Texans defense is much improved from what it was 2 years ago. But these two offenses, now they're different coordinators. These two offenses had fireworks when they played these defenses a couple years ago. So it's interesting, at least, to know that lore going into this.
Yeah. No, I'm two fun matchups here. I don't know what to think of Houston at all. I think Tampa's done enough throughout their tenure here recently that I'm like, I feel pretty comfortable knowing kind of who they are, what they are. They can win games.
Just for the record, the Texans right now, the Texans are 16th in my power rankings.
Let's see what I didn't do the middle yet, so I kind of just got it to like 13 and quit. So no love for the Colts here, huh?
I mean, that's love, bro, from where they were.
True. All right.
That's love from where they were.
Let's wrap this up. We'll be live every Monday at 11. It'll like I said, typically not be Chev's lovely face and voice. It'll be Big Co, and then me and Chev will do a 9 p.m. Wednesday show for the other football show. We got the gambling show made its debut Friday live. Typically this Friday, I don't think it will be live, but it'll typically be a live show. There was some great advice on there. Could have cashed some tickets if you watched and listened. But that was a lot of fun. Dynasty shows get recorded Monday night and Tuesday night. And then Chev is crushing content over on the Redraft channel, FFD Fantasy. So make sure you're checking that out, FFD Radio, if you want more content as far as the podcast side goes. This comes out on podcast like right after we're done, be out in like an hour. So got lots of stuff coming up, and we're, like I said, we're excited about this show. We like
talking real football.
We like talking real football, man. And I do think, it's not necessarily Dynasty per se, but I think all of this feeds into each other, like the gambling show, Redraft, Dynasty, and like I think Jeremiah made a great point in the lead in on the gambling show of like all of this stuff feeds off of itself. So like the more that you're kind of involved in all the tentacles of things, but I think just the straight football talk is the most beneficial to the Dynasty game.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be more celebrated than just straight up some of this super duper dialed in nerdy Dynasty talk, because their Dynasties is so predicated on what the league is actually doing. So that's why we're excited about this show. And we're excited to give you some other options besides the talking hairdos that do radio, who don't know who the third wide receiver is or the right tackle is, or they don't have the depth of knowledge because they cover a million sports and they're basically just playing the hits. So we're excited about the football show. Hopefully you guys are too. Thanks for the support so far. We see you again. Thanks for the comments. Keep them coming for us. Great job in the comments. Best Ball Call, Mags, some other guys in here, Dennis Rodriguez. There were some guys earlier in the chat. So appreciate all you guys for coming out. Love the comments, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.